Hello, Irv speaking.
Hello, Dad?
Yes, Bethy. Are you okay?
Hey, my true crime lovers, it's Matt.
And Ariel.
All right, so you guys wanted us to really dig into a story, a deep dive, and we heard you. This one's intense. It's the abduction of Mary and Beth Stauffer. Back in 1980, it was huge.
Yeah, it's one of those cases that really gets to, I think, the core of true crime, you know? The darkness that people are capable of, but also, the strength that people have.
Yeah, so just to set the scene.
Yeah.
May 16th, 1980. Looks like any other day, Roseville, Minnesota. Mary Stauffer and her daughter Beth, she's 8, leaving a beauty salon. And boom, they're ambushed. At gunpoint. But here's the thing. It's not just some random person.
Right.
This is Ming Sen Shiue, and he was Mary's student once upon a time.
And it wasn't like, just a random act of violence. This guy, he had been obsessed with Mary for over 15 years. Like, he'd planned this meticulously. I mean, he even practiced the whole kidnapping thing with a friend a few weeks before. I mean, it's just chilling to think how obsession can really mess someone up like that.
And the level of planning is, well, it's scary. Like, he was stalking her, figuring out her routines. He even built this soundproof box in his basement for her.
Oh, yeah. Like, it wasn't something he just, thought up on the spot. It was this calculated act of obsession, really.
Exactly.
I mean, he had pictures of her family. They found them in his place later. So, yeah, pretty fixated.
So forces them into the car, and that's how the whole captivity thing starts. Ends up taking them to his house, that closet he built, soundproof and everything.
Right.
They're trapped in that tiny space for weeks. I mean, the psychological torture, the physical abuse, it's hard to even imagine.
It's hard to even fathom the fear, the not knowing what's going to happen next. It's remarkable how Mary, being terrified herself, still managed to protect Beth.
Yeah, and not just she tried to make it, I don't know, almost normal for Beth.
Right.
In this horrible situation. They'd sing, play games, and Mary's faith, that was huge for her too.
Yeah, you can really see her character there. She didn't just fall apart, found ways to deal with it, hold on to hope. And that whole protecting her daughter thing, that's big.
Later on, she talked about just whispering prayers all the time, believing God was with them, even then, in that dark place. She said that's what kept that little bit of hope alive, that maybe they'd be free.
Yeah, powerful example of resilience, finding strength in unexpected places. But you gotta remember, Shiue had total control. He moved them around, kept them isolated. Escape seemed impossible.
For weeks, it was impossible.
Oh.
But then I guess he got cocky. Started thinking they were, too broken to even try anything.
Right, like he'd completely crushed their spirit. Yeah, that was his mistake.
Because Mary, she wasn't broken. She was watching, waiting, planning. So one day, she was at work, and Mary, she sees it, the phone just sitting there. Risky move, but she knew this might be the only shot.
Talk about courage and desperation. I mean, if she gets caught,
yeah,
could have been bad, real bad.
But she was a mom, determined to save her kid. Right.
She goes for it.
Dials the operator. Quick, quiet. Explains everything. We're being held captive. Operator, thank goodness they get the police. They're on it instantly, headed straight to Shue's work.
And the police, they already had Shiue on their radar, right? Questioning him weeks before when the Stauffers disappeared, but he slipped through the cracks. This time,
oh yeah,
they were ready.
They had the building surrounded, just waiting. Shiue walks out, no clue, totally oblivious. Bam, they arrest him.
Mary and Beth, they were told to hide behind an RV while it all went down. Can you imagine seeing him finally being taken away?
Must have been, oh man, relief, shock, but probably still scared, right? After all that.
Yeah, and as if the whole captivity thing wasn't bad enough, things took another turn, a dark one. They find the body of a little boy, Jason Wilpman, 6 years old. He'd seen the kidnapping.
Shiue killed him, cold-blooded, to cover his tracks. Just tragic.
Yeah.
And it just shows you how far gone he was.
It's hard to even think about what Jason's family went through. Losing their son like that, just senseless. Yeah, it's like Shue's actions, they had this ripple effect, Reached far beyond just the Stauffers, the Wilpmans. The whole community was affected.
And then, amidst all the loss, all the pain, focus shifts to justice. They charge Shiue, kidnapping, murder, the whole 9 yards. And Mary, she testifies. I can't even imagine having to go through that.
So brave to relive it all, to face him, the guy who did all this. But she did it. She knew it had to be done.
Her testimony, all the other evidence, it painted a clear picture.
Yeah.
This guy, he was obsessed, dangerous. The jury, they saw it too. Guilty, life in prison. He's still there today.
Yeah, and he came up for parole in 2016, denied. The parole board, they weren't messing around. They knew he was too dangerous.
So justice, I guess you could say, was served, legally anyway. But it doesn't just end there. The trauma, it sticks with you. Mary, her husband Irv, Beth especially. Healing, that was just starting. I mean, they had lived through it. But getting back to, well, normal, that wasn't easy. The trauma, that leaves a mark. They all had to, I guess, find their own way to deal with it, to heal.
Mary, she kept going back to her faith. That was her rock. You know, she talked about how it got her through the captivity, how it helped her recover.
She said, for 7.5 weeks, it was a horrible time, but the Lord was with us.
Really shows you the power of belief, right? To give comfort, hope, even when things are, well, really bad.
Yeah, but it wasn't just faith. Talking about it, sharing her story, that helped her heal too. She ended up becoming a real advocate for victims' rights. You know, raising awareness about stalking, obsession, all that.
And not just talking about it, she worked with the police too, right?
Yeah.
Helping them understand, like, how these stalkers think, how to better protect people.
Exactly. And Beth, how'd she deal with all of it? I mean, she was just a kid.
Yeah, that's got to be tough. Her healing, well, probably a lot more complicated. But like her mom, she found that sharing her story, it helped.
Right, she talked about how that experience really shaped how she sees the world. Makes you appreciate life more, cherish every moment. Yeah, she also talked about, the tough parts, growing up with that trauma.
You know.
The anxiety, the fear. It didn't just disappear.
No, it doesn't. Shows you the effects of trauma, they can last a long time. Healing sometimes. It's a lifelong thing. But Beth, she's a survivor. She's got a family, a life. And now she's helping others who've gone through something similar.
So when you look back at this whole case, it's more than just the crime, right? It's about strength, resilience, the power of faith, and speaking out when things are wrong.
Absolutely. And it reminds you, even in the darkest times, there's still hope and healing. Even though it's hard, it's always possible.
And for everyone listening, as you think about this case, we hope it reminds you of the strength we all have inside, the power of hope, and how important it is to share our stories, the good and the bad. It helps us understand each other, helps us have empathy. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
As we explore true crime cases that are beyond imagination.
And this is our first video ever on YouTube.
So kindly like, share, and subscribe, and keep safe till we meet again. Bye.
Bye.